Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Blizzard Watch podcast. I'm your host, Matt Rossi, and with me this week are my fantastic co-hosts, Liz Harper and Joe Perez, and we're going to talk about various things going on in the world, some big news that's a little sad and disheartening, and some other stuff that's not quite as sad and disheartening, and some stuff that's actually good. I hope at least some of this stuff is good.
We can only hope.
Yeah, but we are going to unfortunately have to kind of open with a real bad piece of news. The gaming as an industry is often subject to mass layoffs purely for balance line reasons. Like if your company made an enormous profit this year, but it was a smaller enormous profit than last year, often they will lay off people just so their balance sheet looks better. This is something that happens all the time. We don't know the reason for these layoffs, but Microsoft, now that they've got Activision, Blizzard, and King well within their grasp, laid off 1,900 employees. A lot of them from Blizzard. Blizzard suffered very big cuts.
And
it's what, 20%?
Esports.
Yeah.
Also, a whole lot of the esports division is just gone.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard reports of them being down to like what? Like
12, a dozen people.
12 out of their original almost 100. Yeah.
Yeah. And now, granted, this is not something that companies don't release lists of everybody they fired. And maybe they shouldn't, on point of fact. I don't know. But I will tell you that when I was first reading about these layoffs, the first thing that I noticed was that Mike Ybarra and Alan Adam both left.
Yeah.
Mike Ybarra was the current, I don't know what you call him, studio head.
He was the president. He was the president of the division.
Okay. And Alan Adam has been basically involved in Blizzard on and off for like the entirety of its existence.
He's one of the founders.
Founded it. Yes, absolutely. So they're both gone. Joanna Farles from Call of Duty has taken the job of Blizzard president now. She was head of Call of Duty, and now she's over there in Blizzard. And I think, Liz, I really wanted to talk about the thing you pointed out today, was that this is a situation where Blizzard has literally spent the past entirety of its existence as part of Activision Blizzard trying to keep Activision from running Blizzard.
Yep.
Trying to keep as much independence as they can. Having somebody who is the head of Call of Duty step into the role of head of Blizzard, the president, that is a concern. But at the same time, the other concern is Joanna Farles going to get a fair shake as president? Like at this point, they've been through a lot of presidents in a limited amount of time compared to previous amounts of time. Like they had one president for like most of their existence. Then they had the second guy for a few years, and now we had two people, one of whom left almost immediately, and one of whom basically stayed around for a year or two, and now he's gone, and we've got a new one.
The other is one of whom left almost immediately was a woman because she was paid significally less than her male counterpart, Mike Ybarra.
For the same role.
For the exact same role. Yeah, they were leads, yeah.
Co-presidents or something like that. It's like a meaningless title. And I feel very bad. I can't actually remember her name at this point.
Oh, I did until you said that.
Yeah, see, I said it, I pointed it out, and then it vanished from my mind. But she was there very briefly. It was just this kind of brief spark that, we were going to get a woman in charge. We were going to see some real change at Blizzard Entertainment from this frat boy culture. And then immediately it's like, no, she's getting paid a whole lot less than the guy in the same role.
Jen O'Neill. I was going to say, Jen O'Neill, yeah.
And yeah, she vanished really quickly, which is fair.
Well,
if you go into it,
I've actually seen there's a really decent article about her talking about how her exit from Activision Blizzard, how it was actually really difficult. She did an interview. It was her and J. Allen Brack of all people.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. And she's talked about it this is in 2023. She talked about it in detail about how basically she realized very quickly that she was not going to be able to get the company to where it needed to be. And the pay thing was just part of it. That was a bad thing.
And don't forget that she also then left to go found a startup studio, Magic Soup Games, with J. Allen Brack right after that.
Yeah. And the best part is that they only offered to match her pay with Ybarra after she resigned. Like they were like, no, don't resign. We'll pay you equal. And she only even found out that she wasn't getting paid the same because he told her. That
Hmm.
Ybarra is the only reason she even knew. And I'm not trying to defend the guy, but imagine that, the other co-lead has to tell you that you're not getting paid fairly. You don't know. And that's just crazy. So I am wondering, like, seriously, they've got a new woman as president, straight up president, no co. This is the chance for them to actually do something useful.
Maybe, but I mean,
Yeah.
like we were talking about.
Oh, yeah, will we get it? No, I don't know.
Well, we were talking about this in staff, and I want to let Liz talk here in a second. But Liz brought this up, I think, which is, do we know anything that she's really done or had her name associated with? The answer is no, but that could be a good thing or a bad thing, right? Like, it's a completely blank space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's like I have not heard her name before, which could mean that she's stayed out of all of the politics, all of the bad stuff, but it could just mean that she hasn't hit the bar high enough of doing bad stuff to where you hear about it. If that the bar at Blizzard for making headlines for being a bad person has been so high over the last few years. The bar at Activision Blizzard, really high. So you could fly under the radar and still not be a great person, but we don't know. And I think more worrying is that, okay, we've just put a woman into the role of president of this, after this giant merger, this is such a big thing. Is she just, the sacrificial lamb that you're shoving into this role so you can get rid of her later if anything goes wrong?
That is also a really real possibility at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think, oh, okay, we're looking forward. We're going to get new leadership in, and we're going to take things in a different, broader direction. We're going to leave behind kind of the bro culture Blizzard has become so known for. But, last time they brought in a woman leader to do just that, it failed spectacularly. She had to quit. Nothing happened, and nothing changed. And, I don't have hope that this is a sign of change. I just don't. I'd like for this to be a good thing, but I do not know anything about this woman. The fact that she comes from Activision, from Call of Duty specifically, doesn't inspire a lot of confidence.
Yeah, so we were linked, and thanks to Tsemi for linking this in our Discord, that there was a thread about her, or at least a little bit, with her time from the NFL and the CDL and Activision to now, where they actually did a sit down with her. The Eavesdrop did. So there's a YouTube video out there where she does an interview. It's interesting because it does paint a positive picture, which you would expect from any interviews with her, but she doesn't make any bold claims. She doesn't claim to be like a hardcore gamer or anything like that. She claims to want to be listening to player feedback and trying to understand and get everything to a good place. But she presided over in 2021. She presided over the Call of Duty League and Overwatch esports. Mm-hmm. So she has some familiarity with it as well. So I'm not saying that it's bad or good, but it is definitely something I want to pay attention and see what, if anything, she can do to maybe make things better. And I'm saying that with a big question mark after it, because I don't know. I don't know if they can make things better. Yeah, well, especially considering, I think that we should talk about those layoffs. At least in Blizzard's case, they fired a lot of people who do stuff that isn't often understood by players, but is extremely important. A lot of customer support, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of internal team development, or internal software tool development. The BattleNet team got hammered.
And one thing we haven't actually gotten to yet is they've canned the Untitled survival game Blizzard has been working on for 5 or 6 years now. Yeah, but I mean, like, reading some of the stuff about that is mind-blowing, too. Do we want to talk about that a little bit as well? Yes, by all means, Joe. Start talking about it. Sorry. But I mean, like... You brought it up. Now you got to talk about it.
But, like, that was a game. Talk about being stuck in development hell, but not for the fact of the people that were working on that game. And I feel so bad for those people. But, like, a lot of people on that team were coming forward with, like, what it was to work on that game, where it started as something that was being developed with Unreal. We just talked about this on the pre-show. You should sign up for our Patreon so you can listen to the pre-show. but they talked about like they started developing it for it. They had assets in place. They were already starting to make some headway. And then an executive came down and said, no, make it a mobile game and make your own system for it. Right. Like, or use this one that was developed for a mobile game and make it work and try to make a large scale game with it. And like it set it back like years as a result of it, because then they had to port everything over to a tool system that was not designed for it. So then they fell into the old Western game development trap, right? I guess actually the old Eastern game development trap of now you are spending as much time developing the framework and tools to make it, the engine to make the game, than you are actually making the game itself. And it's like rolling the boulder uphill. Like there's a reason why most of the industry has moved towards a model of you either spend your time and develop one platform and use that for as long as you can, for as many things as you can, or you buy someone or lease one from someone else because somebody else has already done it.
Absolutely won't stop using that engine.
Yeah.
Even though it's super old, they'd rather just add stuff to it and use it again because that takes less time and they already know that system. They don't have to relearn it and they don't have to worry about importing things to it. So yeah. Yeah, that's just. And also, I feel like we haven't even mentioned the fact that in the case of the untitled survival game that is now gone, it was being developed by people who are really underserved in terms of the voice in the gaming industry. There was, I think, a non-binary person involved, and you're not going to get to see that game, the game they were making, because it's dead now. And you forget this, people who spend their time working in gaming, for every published credit they have, there's like 2 or 3 games that didn't make it.
Yeah. Or how many times they've been shuffled from one team to another because a project got scrapped, or, untitled project number 7 didn't make it off didn't make liftoff, so they had to go work on something else, and or maybe that team was, like in this case, completely shuttered. It happens a lot, like a lot. I don't know. It's sad, and a lot of us knew people that got hit by this, not just on the survival game, but on all those teams, and we feel very strongly about that, or a very specific way, and I think it's telling, too, how it's being handled and publicly portrayed, too. Because they're not the only company that did layoffs during this time frame. No. As a matter of fact, and I want to talk about this just because I think it's an interesting comparison, and y'all can tell me to shut up and we can move on, but I want to bring up the fact that Riot also let 530 people go globally. But there's a couple key differences. One, Riot talked with everybody internally first and then released all of the notes and communications they gave to their employees publicly. Anybody can read them. It's the exact memos that they sent to their people. They also are doing things like making sure that they are supporting the people that were let go, and making sure that they know that it wasn't done for revenue or, trying to hit numbers or things like that. They're giving them severance pay. They're giving them their cash bonuses. They're keeping them on health benefits. They're keeping them in their wellness funds. They're doing a whole bunch of other stuff, including giving them equipment. Like if they need laptops at home, like to continue their job search, they're just giving them like computers, which is unheard of in sort of this position. They're giving them career support for up to 6 months with job placement services, including career coaching and networking, resume writing, and other things to help them get up and running. They're also keeping them in their assistance program that is for internal employees only. Like they're doing everything they can, including visa support, and letting them continue to have access to their Riot email address, which we know for a fact Blizzard didn't do, because we were getting live stream tweets of, well, I'm sitting here and doing this, and then, oh, there goes my access. I'm completely cut off. Like there are sometimes things happen economically, or like projects don't ship or they get shuttered. That is a reality of the tech industry, but how a company handles that is extraordinarily telling. And the silence from Blizzard for the most part on this, every interview you have with anybody from Blizzard since Activision, Blizzard, that whole unit, since this happened, has been about looking toward the future and whatever next project is, and not talking about anything about what's currently happening. They'll say, oh, it was tough, and then they'll just move on because that's what they're told to do. And it's I mean, I'll say it because we have a little bit of a wiggle room here, and I edited this thing anyway. It sucks. It absolutely blows, right? And these were people that worked to make some of the best games in the industry and some of the most fun we've had. And to feel like they're written off without so much as a footnote or even like a thank you is just, and then have silence from the company regarding it is just, it's telling. So my 2 cents on the state of the industry. Go ahead, Liz.
I think silence is the go-to. No one wants to, they want to cut the fat and lay off workers who are in the middle of developing great games or trying to develop great games. And it's all for the bottom line. Everyone wants their quarterly earnings report to look really good. By the way, Microsoft's is this week. Was it today or is it tomorrow?
I think it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. So, hopefully laying off some of your newly acquired workers will help your quarterly earnings report be that just bit better for the Xbox division. It's just sad. We know Bobby Kotick just went out with an impressive golden parachute departure package, which probably would have paid for all of these people's wages for years. It's just sickening. It's sickening that the gaming industry has lost something like 5,000 jobs in January alone from layoffs. And why?
While still putting up massive profits.
Massive profits.
Yep. Like I think Microsoft something like 72 billion in profit. Just I will say I don't want to like get into an argument with Joe about Riot, but for all the good things,
I'm not praising them. I'm just saying.
For all those good things, they are also basically the people who got fired are not the people who are responsible for Riot's problems. The people who are responsible for Riot's problems are the people that fired them. I don't. There's a lot of stuff they also stripped away during this, like Riot Forge, their publisher for non-League of Legends games, and a lot of other stuff. And yeah, they doubled their headcount in a few years and made all these big bets, and stuff isn't paying off for them. But it's not the fault of the employees, and it is good that they're doing things for them. But I do feel like that has to be put out there. I don't want any corporation.
Corporations are not your friend.
Yeah, I don't want any corporation coming out of this and us not saying, this is a bleep, I can't pirate Ghost thing to do. I'm just stunned at the profits these companies are listing while they're doing this. It's nuts. How can you make so much money and you can't put aside one of those $70 billion so you don't have to fire everybody? But of course, that's not going to constantly increase profit for you.
Yeah, profit isn't the point. All of the profit is the point. This is sarcasm for those of you at home.
Let's see. Microsoft's earnings report did come out today.
Oh.
And gross profit for the... Oh gosh, I want to make sure I'm actually looking at the right thing. I'm not going to say this. I may not be looking at the right thing.
It's safe to say that they're up from where they were, because as of September in 2023, they were evaluated at $56.5 billion, which was a year-over-year increase of 12.76%.
Microsoft is a massive corporation, and it's massively successful. It's not like we need to go, we've had some lean months and we need to make sure we're going in ready with the people we need most. It's not like that. Microsoft is hugely successful, but they want to be more hugely successful, which means, this person's underperforming in their metrics. This game doesn't look like it's a hit with today's top trends. So we're gonna cancel it. We're gonna fire the whole team. Esports isn't making enough money. Let's lay off everyone involved in that. And just cutting and running with every project that doesn't look like it's doing well, instead of trying to nurture talent, come up with new ideas, go new directions. Okay, so Overwatch League wasn't working out. What else can you do? Lay off the whole team. That's what you can do.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just disappointing.
I'm feeling comfortable enough to do the thing where I talk about how much they were making, because I'm not using their report. I'm using macro trends, and this has been out for a bit. The 12 months ending on September 30th, 2023, their profit for that period of time, that year, gross profit was $151 billion. Now, the previous year, The annual gross profit for 2023 overall was $146 billion, and that increase was over 2022, where they made $135 billion in profit. So they've actually got a tradition of increase.
Oh yeah,
they've been going up every year for this past several years. That doesn't, I understand that them making that profit doesn't mean that they're immediately going to actually care about their employees. They do have shareholders, and also corporations are evil. But regardless, it's not like if they had decided they just wanted to take $1 billion out of their profits and not fire 1,900 people, they could easily have done that, and it wouldn't have taken the full billion.
No, it wouldn't even
by a long shot.
It wouldn't even tip the bank.
Yeah, they would barely have noticed it. So when you see these things, and corporations are like, well, we had to do this because 9 times out of 10,
rounding error.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, they don't have to do this, and it needs to finally be said. We're not saying it enough. They didn't need to do this. There's absolutely no reason to lay these people off, except when you get to making your shareholder report. If you're not up, always up, then layoffs happen. And in this case, this is a preventative layoff. It's not even one to say, oh, well, we had a dip, so we're going to lay people off. This is a layoff just so no one has to deal with that later. None of their bookkeeping has to.
Yeah, well, and that's the other trend, and you're going to see this a lot this year too. And just to sort of prepare everybody, the year's not over, and it's going to keep getting bad because the tech industry as a whole is, even if the U.S. economy doesn't go into a full-on recession, the tech industry is. And mostly is because we're finally starting to see companies realize that unfettered growth doesn't actually exist, and now they're starting to panic, and they're doing the only thing they can, which, to quote Matt, is fire other people to make sure that they have all of the money. Right? It's true. It's what they're doing. It sucks. I don't know any other way to say it. It's sad. It's awful. It is on the unfortunate world we currently live in, and I wish it wasn't.
And you look at companies that have been started up in the past couple of years. A lot of gaming companies that have come out into existence in the past, say, 3 or 4 years are basically people who were laid off.
Yeah.
And they're either laid off or they left because they saw the writing on the wall.
Yep. And
decided, I'm going to leave before you lay me off. I'm going to go do that thing I've wanted to do for years. And yeah, it's just, how many of those companies are going to get to make it? Probably not that many.
No.
Because, even if you have real name talent who are famous for putting out good stuff, there's a lot of signal to noise,
Yeah, and we've talked about it before. It's real hard to promote the stuff now, especially with Twitter being in its death throes still, which was a large source of a lot of promotion for people's projects. Ostensibly just doesn't matter anymore. It's gone. You don't really have the budget when you're that small to hire a marketing firm at the same capacity. They can't keep up. You can't buy a Super Bowl spot or whatever. It becomes very, very difficult for a lot of those companies to push and make it. And the fact that so many of them is good. There's a lot of them that are actually getting ready to make new games, and we're in the middle of it. Some of them, that game company, is actually growing their self slowly from the ground up to keep making their game. There's hope, but I don't think that hope will ever lie with the larger names anymore. And the sooner we just kind of, I don't want to say accept that they're not our friends. They're not our friends. It's not the company. It's you can like the people that work for them. You don't necessarily have to like the company itself.
Oh, absolutely.
The company is not your friend. It is never your friend.
I mean, although at this point, I feel unless Liz or Joe, either of you have anything else you want to add, it's probably time to move on, just because otherwise the entire show
we should move on.
The problem is with this topic is that you start screaming and it's hard to stop because it's so frustrating. Mm-hmm. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I'm going to take a deep breath and attempt to move on as if my soul wasn't dying. Okay, Season of Discovery is on its phase 2. That's the special WoW Classic deal. Go ahead.
Phase 2 next week.
Yeah, next week.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm calling it Phase 2 because for a long time we were calling it level bands, but Blizzard keeps calling it phases, so I'm calling it phases.
I keep calling it phases, so...
Yeah, but regardless...
Phases. Everyone calls them phases.
Yeah. But one of the things that's coming with the new season is the Blood Moon. And when I first heard this, I'm like, what? The thing from Breath of the Wild? You bring that in? All the monsters are just going to respawn at random times? But it's not that. The Blood Moon event is essentially free-for-all, kill everybody PvP. And when I say kill everybody, I mean everybody. If you're Alliance,
literally everybody.
Yeah. If you see another Alliance person and you're involved in the event, you kill them. It's what you do. It's kill everybody all the time. It is, however, different in some ways. Like one of the things is that you do not have to participate in the Blood Moon. When it randomly happens, I think like once every 3 hours on a 30-minute timer.
It's on a 3-hour timer. I don't think it's random. It's 3 hours and it lasts 30 minutes. Yeah.
So every 3 hours you'll have a 30-minute period of the Blood Moon in I want to say Stranglethorn Vale because that's
Stranglethorn Vale.
And you can, however, sign out of it. You can go to, I think you'll go to Booty Bay. I just know that the sergeant in question, you can go to that person and say, I don't want to be doing this. And they're like, okay, you don't have to. But if you do that, you don't get the special rewards that you otherwise get for just rampaging across the zone, murdering everyone you find, or being murdered by them, I suppose. You don't get as many rewards for being there's also, I can't remember the name of the character, but there's also an NPC who's essentially like the equivalent of a Fell Reaver wandering around the zone during this, murdering people. And you can only group up in groups of 5, or, you can't, or less. You can't do a raid to fight him because raids are super penalized in some way. We don't know what it is yet. Unless there's been
that would be Kadamu, chosen of the Blood Loa, who will wander around Stranglethorn Vale during the Blood Moon event. And it sounds like you don't want to mess with him. You see him, you run away. The real question is he like the Fell Reaver? Is he like super stealthy and he'll just show up and murder you all? Or is he gonna like actually make some noise and you'll be like, oh, I hear him coming, I'm gonna go run the other way? Yeah, considering that the Fell Reaver was like literally a 30-foot tall robot that could literally be behind you before you even noticed it. Yeah. Joe, you remember that, right?
I do.
Yeah, Fell Reavers, man. So yeah. Yeah. The worst part about that Inception noise before it was cool thing was that it would do it like wouldn't do it until it was literally like 5 feet behind you. Like you'd be like, I'm gonna kill this boar and get myself some hellboar bacon. Oh, no bacon. Anyway,
stealthiest gigantic thing in the entire effing world. Yeah, I got nothing else. Like that thing is just, I'm still having like the shakes from like how many times that thing snuck up on me. And then I remember as soon as I was high enough level to go kill it on my own, I did that like every day for like a week.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's actually an interesting way that season of the Season of Discovery has so far done a lot of interesting variations. It's done things that we hadn't seen before. Not necessarily wholly new. Like this is a PvP event. That there are similar kinds of events in WoW already, but this one's distinct, not just in how it works, but the fact that it is complete free-for-all PvP. The only other time we've ever had complete free-for-all PvP was what? The Timeless Isle? With those coins you could get if you just went to like full PvP mode and fought everybody who came by. That's the only other time I can think of in game. Either of you got a time where there was a complete free for all PvP in WoW?
I mean, we used to do complete free for all PvP way back in vanilla days that were
in the arena, right? There's that arena that allowed you to do that.
No, we did it in the world. I mean, unless you're talking about like where you can kill your own faction too, then it was only the arena.
That's what I'm talking about. It literally free for all. Like you can kill anybody.
Yeah. Then I remember the arena, Gurabashi Arena, something like that. Was it?
Yeah, in Stranglethorn. Yeah,
which is in fact in Stranglethorn. So it all goes together.
Yeah, it just expands it. I don't know. Either of you guys have anything you really want to see them do that they haven't done yet with the seasons, with Season of Discovery?
Find more hours in a day so I can play it.
Oh,
that'd be good. I mean, the thing is, I'm not looking forward to anything specific in Season of Discovery. I want to know what happens next. I want to be surprised because there are so many interesting places you could take this game. And the being surprised is the best part. Not knowing, being able to play vanilla Warcraft and not knowing what's going to happen next. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that is a big deal because otherwise you're just repeating something you played for years.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. Says the guy who's now playing this latest Cyberpunk 2077 playthrough. But yeah, okay. We'll move on then to.
And I do want to add that is going live next week, February 8th. Season of Discovery, Phase 2. The level cap is being increased. Oh gosh, it just vanished my mind too. Is it level 40 or level 45?
I think it's 40 because then they'll have 50 and 60. Those are the next level bands.
So new level cap. 40, Nomragon as a raid dungeon, and this Blood Moon event. So you can kill all your friends. For fun.
Yes. But not outside in the game. Do it in the game.
Only every 3 hours. You have 30 minutes every 3 hours to kill your friends. Outside of that time, they're your friends. You can't kill them.
Yes. But in addition to that, since we're talking about February 8th, on February 6th, Diablo 4 is getting a new seasonal event similar to the Midwinter Blight that they had back in December. From February 6th to February 20th, we're going to have the Lunar Awakening event, which is different. It's not the same, but it is similar in terms of what it does in Diablo, in that it adds new stuff you can do. It's for both seasonal and Eternal Realms. So if you've not been playing the seasons, you still get new content. And basically what it does is there's a new place to go. It's in Ked Bardu. It's called the Knight's Market, I think. The Night Lunar Market. And it's headed up by, I want to say Yu Yi. If that's not his name, I apologize. But he's the leader of it. And essentially you go there. He basically says, hey, there's these new lunar shrines. You should go around clicking because good stuff will happen. You go out and you find these shrines and you click them and you get buffs. They're buffs like normal shrines. They then have additional buffs that they add to those shrines, and then you get 50% XP in it says multiplicative, which I don't know for sure, but sounds like that means if you get 2 shrine buffs going, you can get like 100% XP. That would be nice. But regardless, still 50% XP while you've got these things clicked. Go ahead, Liz.
The one I'm interested in is, so the lunar shrines are like normal shrines, but with new effects. So the greed shrine has a chance. Usually it's like the greed shrine gives you some pitiful amount of extra gold, which they have buffed, but it's still pretty pitiful to the point where I'm like in a nightmare dungeon. I'll see a greed shrine and I'll be like, I don't even want to click on that. It could be a curse shrine. I'm just going to keep going. It's not worth it. But the augmented lunar shrine, the greed shrine, will have a chance to summon a treasure goblin. So you'll click on the shrine and a treasure goblin will be there. And what if you find another greed shrine and you could get another treasure goblin? Could you just chain greed shrines? Which that's a roundabout way from saying that Diablo needs more treasure goblins.
The cool thing about the green shrine is that it's not a random chance. If the shrine is up and you kill 25 things, boom, treasure goblin. If you kill 50 things on the same shrine, boom, another treasure goblin. So you can make these goblins happen. You don't even need to look for another shrine. You can just make them happen.
I love it.
I want more shrines. This should be how they work forever. Like just don't go back to the old greed shrine. Stay with this one where I get treasure goblins. And then buff treasure goblins. Because more treasure. But they do this for everything. Everyone's got something like this. The one I'm interested in is the protection shrine because you can reflect all incoming damage.
Oh, that could be nasty.
And it scales with your level and world tier.
Oh, that could hurt.
Yeah, and
that could hurt someone else.
There's one of the Nightmare Dungeon affixes in this, during this festival, during the Lunar Awakening event, is called Ancestor's Favor. And it basically means that all the shrines inside are replaced with lunar shrines, which makes this the best way to farm for ancestral rep for this event, because every time you kill a monster next to one of the shrines, if it's a lunar shrine, you get rep, the ancestral favor rep. And what this means is that not only will you get that rep from everything you kill near a shrine, you'll get only these special shrines. You won't get the normal version. So you'll only get the protection shrine, or only get the lethal shrine, or what have you. They'll only give you the lunar version with the extra ability, which I think is really nice, because nightmare dungeons are often a real pain because they do stuff like you take damage whenever you're standing still, or so this is an interesting way to jazz up nightmare dungeons if you like to run those. Go ahead, Liz.
And if you're playing Diablo 4, you kind of have to like to run nightmare dungeons.
Well, you at least have to do it. You don't have to like it. You
yeah,
have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to run so many of them that you'd better like it, because that's the game. That's what you got.
Yeah, I agree. Last thing to mention really fast is there's 10 levels of rep, which are spendable on various things, including like there's 6 different levels of cosmetics that you get as you level through the reputation, and there's other there's gear you can get and so forth. But they haven't really talked much about what the rewards are. They've just said, there are rewards, and they've shown us pictures, but that doesn't tell you, is this a cosmetic or is this an actual weapon? Like, can I actually get a two-handed axe, or am I just getting a transmog? Which is, I like getting transmogs, don't get me wrong, but that we don't actually know yet. But what gets me is this is the second one of these, and this wasn't really talked about very much in any of the previous times that they didn't even mention it the last dev water cooler thing they did.
They did mention that there was another event coming.
Yeah, but
they didn't
tell
say
you
anything about it, though. No, they didn't say anything, but they did say they were doing another event soon.
And it makes me wonder, are we going to see these recurring throughout the year? Like, are we going to get another one in the summertime? Are we going to get, are they just going to do various holiday events when they do other holiday events for other games? Because it feels like that's where they're going with this. Because this is, both WoW and Overwatch have lunar events happening at the same time, because it's based on the Lunar New Year. So, I don't know. I would like to see it. I think it would be interesting, but we'll see what happens. Either of you guys have anything else to say on this one?
Nope.
Liz?
Treasure goblins.
Okay. Whilst talking about treasures, we should probably mention that there's a new Prime gaming reward for World of Warcraft. It's a parrot that is a pirate parrot. Like it's straight up got a pirate hat on and everything. And again, that's straight up. Blizzard just announced this one today, I think.
Yeah.
And that's your, Prime gaming thing. Watch. It's not even watch videos or nothing. It's just link your Prime account to your World of Warcraft account, and you get a nice little pirate parrot. It's got a bandolier on its chest and everything. It's straight up as piratey as you could get with a parrot, which is already somewhat piratey, because it's like the stereotypical pet of a pirate. So yeah, it just cuts the middleman, and it itself is a pirate. That's happening. It says till February 27th. It's going from January 30th, which is again today, as we're recording, and it's going until February 27th. So you have about a month to get it. Pretty close to. Granted, it's the shortest month of the year, but hey, you can't have everything. February is what it is. That's happening. And other than that, the other Prime gaming things I know about are the Moira skin that we were told about before. That one's still in availability, and of course, there's the Hearthstone one. The Hearthstone card that we get, that's still there. I don't know why I linked the Rosewood Moira skin twice in my email, but nevertheless, the Rosewood Moira skin, which I'm going to say is just straight up a hot ass skin. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that word. Beep. But yeah, really good.
That's
skin.
our one.
The eye with the rose thing. This is like your goth Overwatch dream skin for Moira. It's just really neat. Quite frankly. And the Hearthstone gift is it's a card for Hearthstone. That's nice, I guess. I mean, I don't play Hearthstone that much, so I couldn't find a Diablo reward for that. If you guys find one, please let me know. But there is still the Grim Campfire. Over on Twitch. It's not. It's gone.
Nope, gone. Ended today. Sorry.
Ended today.
If you don't have a Grim Campfire, already, I'm sorry. It is gone until it is revived from the vault. Perhaps with more skulls.
Okay. New Overwatch tier skips. Yes, I hadn't mentioned those. I'm sorry. And the Overwatch Lunar event also started today, and we didn't really talk about that. But that's happening. Joe, do you have anything to say about that? Because you're kind of our go-to Overwatch guy. But
unfortunately, I do not. I have not had time to really catch up on Overwatch. Unfortunately.
Okay. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's
also,
it will be the prop hunt mode is returning. Yeah, I don't actually play Overwatch, but I do read about it. So that is but yes, there are 3 fan favorite arcade brawls coming back: Capture the Flag and Capture the Flag Blitz, and okay, this says there are 3 of them, and that's all. And Bounty Hunter, the deathmatch free for all game mode. So, and of course, there are going to be new Year of the Dragon skins and things to collect. So you can go play Prop Hunt or play some of the game modes that are back in the arcade through February 19th.
Alrighty. Also, Hearthstones get theirs, isn't it? Also, the Hearthstones get their
yes.
their
In Hearthstone, yeah, Hearthstone's is pretty simple. It's, whenever there's an exciting holiday, there's usually an event, and you do some quests, and you get, a few rewards. In this case, you do quests that are like, play 2 games of Battlegrounds, and you get a certain amount of event XP, and you can unlock some new unique signature cards, which have special art, and some unique Battlegrounds heroes. So, I'm working on that, except it already wants me to play Constructed Hearthstone, which I don't play very much, so I'm wondering how far I could get through this event while only playing Battlegrounds. I don't know, but I'm gonna find out.
All right. And I think the last thing to mention here, I actually don't think we talked about it very much, but there is a basic patch notes for Diablo 4 coming out as well. These are not changes that are in yet. There was a patch this weekend. It was mostly bug fixes and stuff, and now there's an actual patch coming February 1st. You said
we did have a patch on Friday, which actually had quite a good amount of seasonal stuff that there were a lot of complaints about Season 3 that it doesn't feel impactful, which I agree. And it's the whole mechanics of it. You had to farm up these governing and tuning stones to upgrade your new robot pet companion, and the robot pet companion didn't feel impactful, and it took a long time to get enough stones to upgrade it. And you were running these vaults, which were full of traps, and you had to go into the vaults and use your pearls of warding to get stacks of Zoltan's warding so that you could get to the end of the dungeon. Oh my gosh. You'd get to the end of the dungeon and be able to unlock these ward-locked chests if you still had stacks of Zoltan's warding. But the pearls of warding were also used to summon the Echo of Malthus boss at the end, once you were closer to level 100 and get loot from that. So you had to make this choice between, do you want to participate in vaults or do you want to summon Malthus and get those rewards? So Blizzard has made a whole slew of changes to try and make this a little better. First, to prevent you from having to choose from fighting Malthus and doing vaults, there's a new item called an Igneous Core that's only used to summon an Echo of Malthus. You no longer have to take your Pearls of Warding and decide, well, am I going to do vaults or am I going to do Echo of Malthus? You can do both. They're just different items that you will encounter as you play through the content. They have also increased they've made it easier to upgrade your Seneschal companion, your new little robot friend. Crafting your governing and tuning stones will only cost 200 shattered stone, and finding a maximum level gathering or tuning stone will also now grant you 150 to 200 shattered stone, so you can already go and, make another one. They basically cut the cost of making them in half, so it's so much faster to get them. And you get governing and tuning stones for your little robot buddy from doing whispers. So you can get them as rewards from whisper caches, where before you really had to dive into seasonal content and kill constructs and really grind constructs forever to get the 200, chunks of rock you needed to go to make your governing stones and tuning stones. And then, of course, you'd gather your 200 chunks of rock and you'd go to make your governing stone or tuning stone, and you're like, I want this one, I want to upgrade this one, but it's random. You just get a random stone, and it's like, thanks, that was spent all that time grinding, and that was not what I wanted. So your robot upgrades faster, And yeah, I mean, I think all in all these are good changes. There was a lot of negative feedback about the season because it's just not. It didn't feel like much, and season 2 was so great. Like,
meanwhile, I'm the one guy that didn't like season 2, and I'm actually happy.
I'm sorry.
With season, so
I'm sorry.
No,
I mean,
it's fine. I understand that not everybody's the same. I just happen to really. I'm much happier with a simple thing that doesn't completely change my playstyle than I am with vampire powers that are very powerful but make you a completely different character. Like if you're like really going for vampire powers on my barbarian, I was like, I don't feel like a barbarian anymore. I feel like a vampire. But I get that other people liked it. I get why they liked it. And I do agree that whilst I like Season of the Construct so far, the stuff that people are talking about is valid. The trap stuff does feel like out of nowhere, and especially having it cost you the chance at the boss. Like I can summon this boss, or I can get some chests at the end of this. That feels like it's kind of a poke in the eye. So I am glad they made that change. And I guess you also mentioned that the upcoming patch that's coming next week, I think, or even this week, has some buffs for the little robot buddy as well.
Yeah, Blizzard has posted patch notes that are dated February 1st. And it's, as we are recording this, not February 1st. So I only assume these are going live in the future, which includes quite a few buffs to our robot friend. I do agree with you, Matt. I like the robot friend. I like the more straightforward upgrade process, but it's... Yeah,
it was a lot of shards. Yeah, and you have to basically get these bags, and sometimes the bags don't have what you need. And,
yes.
That's one of the reasons, by the way, Inside Baseball, I'm supposed to have written up a post about this already, and I haven't been able to because of how hard it is to get the things. So,
it's not really hard to get the stones to upgrade him. It just it's because it's random and you can't focus on anything. It takes forever.
Yeah,
which is the whole problem.
Yeah, exactly.
And your robot friend you don't feel an impact from having a robot friend because at the first level, most of these skills do not do a lot.
No, you have to spend a lot of time leveling the robot before the robot
before you even feel like your robot is doing anything. And now this patch that's going live on February 1st, it looks like all or most of, a lot of your robot skills are being increased by 10 to 60%. Gyrate damage increased by 30%. Pummel damage increased by 30%. Bushwhack damage increased by 20%. Impale damage increased by 30%. It's a whole list that's boosting its power. So, I mean, I would hope that this just means, okay, as soon as you get your robot buddy, you're going to feel like you have a robot buddy. Because as it is, you get your robot buddy and you feel like, okay.
You gonna do anything here, little robot buddy?
You're back there looking adorable. That's great. But are you gonna help out? Are you gonna do literally anything? Yep. And so yes, I hope this will make our robot buddy feel a little better, a little more powerful. One thing I'm impressed about is how quickly Blizzard has been rolling out these patches. The season has been live a week.
Yeah, and they've already got one patch and a new one's coming in a couple of days. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, with some pretty significant changes to the season and how it plays out.
I kind of get the sense that they were sort of aware that people might react this way and were ready for them to, but they wanted to see what happened. That's kind of how I feel about it, but we'll see.
I mean, one of the things is Diablo 4 doesn't do a PTR, so there's no chance to collect player feedback before something goes live.
Yeah.
And they also didn't announce this with much lead time. They didn't announce Season 3 very far before Season 3 launched.
Yeah, they were basically, I think it was the week before Season 3 came out.
Yeah, it was the week before they told us. Yeah. So they don't collect a lot of feedback in advance, and when the season rolled out, the feedback was pretty overwhelmingly negative.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that pretty much covers everything for this week, news-wise. I mean, we could always talk about more stuff, but I don't think we can do another 20 minutes of complaining about capitalism. So at this point...
Do you think we can't?
I don't think we can survive it. I think we could definitely do it. I just don't think we have the time to do it.
Yeah, that's fine.
But we should move on and try and get at least one or two of these questions answered. Again, guys, if you do have a question for the show, please send it in to us at podcast@blizzardwatch.com with the subject line podcast or Blizzard Watch so we know it's for the show. If you'd rather not email us, we do have 2 Discord channels for it. There's the Q and Podcast Questions channel for everybody. You just go on in there and leave a comment, and we will know to look at it and possibly answer it on this podcast. Or if you're a patron and you want to make sure you get looked at first, we do have the patron Q and Podcast Questions channel for y'all so that you can get your stuff into us first. This week we got 4 questions from both channels and no emails, so I'm a little bit of a sad bear, but whatever. I'm going to say, Joe, could you read the first one?
Certainly. This one comes from Tetsemi. What excites you about Blizzard's currently announced games/offerings, and what would you like to see them announced down the road? Me personally, I'm still just waiting to see what happens with the next expansion and the lead up to it. That's really, for WoW, that's really where I'm at right now. What about you guys?
Liz, go.
Wow, this is such a hard question to get on the tail of these layoffs when you're just you're just kind of bummed out. I mean, I'm always interested in seeing what comes next. And one of the reasons I'm not super hyped about the War Within, not saying that there's anything wrong with the War Within, but we already know we already know the big picture stuff that's coming. So it's like, you find out and then you want to know, okay, what's next? I'm caught up in the hype cycle that I hate. I feel like I know too much about what's coming next, and I know too much too soon. So it's like, I'm no longer excited about it. I want to know what's coming next. Like, I want to be playing what's been announced, and I want to know what cool thing is coming next. So I'm having a lot of problems right here with Blizzard's roadmaps, which are giving us these huge, ambitious walls of content. But it's like at the beginning of the year, I know about when everything's coming out. I know about what everything's coming out. I have a whole feature list right in front of me, and the games don't surprise me very much, which is kind of, it's harder for me to be excited. It's like, I'm glad we're getting all this new content. There's always something to do whenever I log on, but I'm not as excited about it anymore. So I'm sorry, I don't have a good answer.
Vessel of Hatred. That's what I'm thinking about. War Within certainly has got stuff I want to do, and I am interested in it, but I can play Diablo 4 by myself or with just one other person. And I'm at the point in my life where that's the kind of gameplay I want. I don't want to have to get 19 other people to go do something. It's not anything wrong with my guilds that I've been in or my friends. I'm not great at scheduling. I have to schedule so many other things in my life. Doctor's appointments, pen and paper role-playing games. The great thing about computer games for years was that I could just sit down and play them whenever I felt like it. That's why I love Baldur's Gate 3, because I can just do it whenever I want, for as long as I want, or as short as I want. And you can't really do that with a lot of other things. And WoW is unfortunately one of those things. And it's not that I don't think it's good. If anything, I think Dragonflight was one of the best expansions in a long time. But at the same time, it was like, in order to see half of it, I needed to get at least 4 other people. And if not that, then close to 9 other people. If I wanted to get through and see what was going on. And at the place I am in my life, that's a hard sell. That's hard to do. So yeah, for me, it's the Vessel of Hatred. That's the thing I am most excited about hearing more for, because I really don't know much about what it's going to be too. I mean, I know that it's going to be in the area that we previously saw in Diablo 2, with Karast and Travancore, but I don't know much more than that. And some of this stuff has been changed and added to and fleshed out and made different in a way that I'm really excited to see, but I don't know anything. And so maybe that's partially the same as what Liz was talking about. Regardless, that is the Vessel of Hatred. That is my thing.
Okay.
Yeah, Liz, do you want to read this next one, and then we're probably going to stop because it's a little bit. We only have a couple minutes.
Okay. From Corey, what are your thoughts on prestige rewards many years after their prestigious being available from other less prestigious sources? I think it's cool. I think it's cool to let cool rewards be available to everyone. It's like they have that period where it's like a prestige thing, and then, slowly it kind of opens up. I think it's okay. It's nice to feel like you have this one cool thing that no one else has. But it's just cool to have cool things. It's cool for everyone to be able to have that feeling of having a cool thing. Though I do still have the mini Tyrael pet in WoW, and I do feel pretty good when I like break that thing out because almost literally no one else has it. But if we had a whole raid with mini Tyrael out, I would feel really good about that too. So, what about y'all? What do you think? You feel bad when people have that cool rare thing that you worked really hard to get?
No, not at all. I honestly, more access to everything makes me happy. Like, let's just keep giving people access to stuff.
I got Mimiron's head. That's the one thing I got that I really feel like got it at the time was a cool prestige thing. And I get super excited whenever anybody else has a Mim's head. I don't care how you got it. I see you on yours and I pop mine out immediately. I'm like, look, I got one too. And then we like ride around orbiting each other and chasing each other through the streets of Dalaran, at least the one time that it happened. I get why people get annoyed if they had to do a multiple 30-stage dangerous achievement thing to get something and now somebody else can get it, at a vendor. I get being upset about that. But you know what? That's what happens in games. Like one way or another, it gets trivialized. People can get it. Right now, if you want to get Mim's head, you can basically just farm Yogg until he drops for you. He doesn't drop it, like it is 1% chance, but you can kill him a few hundred times and eventually he'll drop it, one hopes. Please don't be like my shoulders and never drop it. But I get the idea. I get why people get upset about it, but I am not one of those people. I totally think it's great. Whenever I see one of the Phoenix mounts, and I don't have the Phoenix mount, by the way, the Ash of Law, I don't have it. But whenever I see it, I'm like thumbs up to that person. I think it's really that you have it. So yeah,
it looks so cool. It's just cool to see it out there.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. So yeah, that's my take on it. But I think we're done for right now because we really can't get through more of them. I'd like to, but we can't. What was that, Liz?
Let more people have cool things.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Done.
So Joe, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Blizzard Watch is made possible due to the generous contributions at patreon.com/BlizzardWatch. Your continued support means that this podcast site and community is able to thrive and grow. Blizzard Watch supporters enjoy exclusive benefits like early access to the podcast, better chance at having your question answered on our podcast with a queue, and an ads-free site experience.
Thank you, Joe. I have to remind myself not to call you Joseph because I know you think that means you're in trouble. Like sometimes I just almost say the word and I'm like, don't call him Joseph. You're not his mom.
You should do it sometimes just so he wonders. Just keep that uncertainty there.
Joe is our Pokemon of our podcast. I don't want to make him unhappy.
Wait, I'm the Pokemon of the podcast?
Yeah, absolutely.
I am what?
Yeah, you are the Pokemon of the podcast.
Which Pokemon is he?
That's a good question, isn't it? Listeners, vote now for which Pokemon Joe is. No, I don't. I just mean that you're like constantly a positive thing. I'm never unhappy to talk to Joe. Whereas, many times I am unhappy to talk to myself because, oh God, everything I have to say is horrible. And sometimes I'm scared to talk to Liz because she is my boss. But I'm never scared of Joe because, again, he's our Pokemon. He's going to protect me if anything happens. He's not. I mean, I don't put him in a ball. Admittedly, I don't. But Ash didn't put Pikachu in a ball.
Well, that's because Pikachu wouldn't let him put him in a ball.
And I doubt you'd let me put you in a ball.
100% will not. No, I'm good.
Oh, but anyway, to try and end the show before we talk about this even more, thank you everybody for coming to listen to the Blizzard Watch podcast. On behalf of myself, Liz, and Joe, who doesn't say just Joe as variations of his name over and over again. He uses words. He could. You can't stop him. But thank you so much for being here. We're really glad you have you, and we'll be back next week so we can do it all again.